Sometimes an object holds the value of your entire life, and especially when it's thrown away, you realize it. Kitchen on Saturday morning during breakfast preparations, where I wash my hands, take off my watch, and place it on the table carefully. 1953 Rolex Submariner reference. 6204. Diver's watch. Old and scratched where the glass fogged up sometimes, but valuable. Very valuable. My daughter Sophia comes into the kitchen holding an Apple Watch box that's new, shiny, and expensive. "Dad, I got you this. Now use a smartwatch because it measures your pulse and counts your steps. So throw that old thing in the trash," she instructs. I look at her. "Sophia, this watch belonged to your grandfather as a family heirloom since 1953. She laughs with mocking laugh. "Dad, this is a fake Rolex bought online for $50 where a real Rolex is shiny and new, but this is rusty and scratched up. So look at Brett's Rolex, because now that's the real thing." Brett, Sophia's husband, shouts from the living room, "Yeah, Henry, I got a new Submariner last month for $15,000. Yours is definitely a knockoff." "But this," I start. Sophia snatched the watch into her hand. "Dad, this embarrasses us because Brett's coworkers are coming tomorrow and they can't see you with this nonsense." And she threw it into the trash can, the kitchen trash can, among coffee grounds and fruit peels where my watch landed. I froze completely. "Sophia, no. Let the garbage man come and take it because let's be done with this," she declared. 71 years of my life, 37 years on my wrists. A gift from your grandfather, Commander Robert Matthews, worn the day I met Eleanor, and at Sophia's birth with every memory now in the trash. But Sophia doesn't know, and Brett doesn't know, that that watch isn't just an old watch, but is worth $280,000 as first production, with only 100 pieces in the world. And tomorrow the garbage collector will come to take it and carry it away, and then Sophia will find out and learn the truth. Because value isn't measured by the eye or by shine, where value is understood through knowledge and protected through respect. This is me, Henry Matthews, 71 years old from Connecticut, and this story is about the $280,000 watch my daughter threw in the trash, and the most expensive life lesson she will ever learn. If stories like this interest you and you want to listen true stories about value and respect, please subscribe to the channel, because every day we share real events that changed people's lives that are insightful and shocking. Every family has a treasure, and ours is a watch, a Rolex Submariner from 1953. My name is Henry Matthews, and I'm 71 years old, but the story began before me with my father, Commander Robert Matthews. Born in 1920 as World War II veteran with U.S. Navy as destroyer commander who fought in the Pacific where the war ended in 1945, and my father came home alive, making us lucky. After the war, my father stayed in the Navy where he continued his career to commander rank as respected officer. In 1952, I was born as only child where my father was 32 and my mother was 28, as happy family. In 1953, my father returned from a sea assignment, long assignment of 6 months for underwater sea research in deep sea as dangerous assignment. He brought back a gift when he returned, a gift for himself as a Rolex, a new model Submariner as diver's watch, Rolex's first diver's watch. "This watch," my father said, "was going to be with me at sea, but it wasn't available yet. And now I have it where now it will be with me on every mission." It was an expensive watch at $200, where $200 in 1953 was a lot of money, but my father valued it. Quality is longevity, where a cheap watch lasts 5 years, but a good watch lasts 50 years. And he was right, because that watch worked for 66 years, where it still works and never stopped. My father wore that watch on every mission at sea, in dark waters, and on deep dives, always on his wrist. He engraved the case with a name, RM, Naval Commander, 1953, where he did it himself with small letters as careful engraving. "Why are you engraving it, Dad?" I asked as a kid at 10 years old. "Because Henry," he said, "this watch will be yours after me, where you should know the story of this watch, including who wore it and where it was used. And that's why I carved it, so you would remember." I grew up as my father rose through the ranks in the Navy from commander to captain, as respected officer, where everyone knew him. Captain Matthews, honest, brave, and reliable. The 1970s came when I grew up through college at Yale with history major as good student, where I graduated in 1974. I found a job as teacher, high school history teacher, modest job, but I loved it by teaching young people history, the past, and values. In 1975, I met Eleanor, librarian, beautiful and kind, who loved books, where I fell in love fast. First date at restaurant where I'm checking my watch, not a Rolex yet, but cheap Timex from teacher's salary, where I couldn't afford a Rolex. Eleanor noticed. "Nice watch, simple but stylish." "Thanks, not expensive, but it works, and it's enough for me," I replied. She smiled. "Value isn't in the price, but in the function, and that's the right way of thinking, in my opinion." That sentence captivated me because Eleanor understood value, not show, but substance. 6 months later, we got married in small wedding with family, friends, and church, as simple. My father came in his uniform, his naval uniform with medals on his chest, and on his wrists, the Rolex, always Rolex. After the wedding, my father gave me a gift as an envelope with inside $2,000. "Henry, for your honeymoon, go somewhere nice with Eleanor and make memories." "Dad, this is too much," I protested. "Henry, you're my only son, where your happiness is my happiness, so take it and use it," he insisted. We used it by going to Italy, including Venice, Rome, and Florence for 2 weeks, as wonderful honeymoon where Eleanor was happy and I was happy. In 1982, Sophia was born, my daughter Sophia, a beautiful baby with blonde hair and blue eyes, Eleanor's eyes. The birth was difficult with complications requiring C-section and 9 hours of surgery where I was in the waiting room, anxious and very anxious. My father was with me. "Henry, don't worry, because Eleanor is strong and Sophia is strong, where everything will be fine." Rolex on his wrists, always on his wrists, as he was looking at his watch. "It's been 3 hours and we'll hear soon." "Dad, I'm scared because Eleanor is in so much pain," I confessed. "I know, son, but that's how birth is with pain. But then there's happiness with baby and family as worth," he assured. 5 hours later, the doctor came. "Mr. Matthews, congratulations. It's a girl. Mother and baby are healthy." I cried as my father hugged me. "See? I told you everything's fine." When I first saw Sophia, she was small, delicate, and perfect, where I held her in my arms. "Hello, Sophia. I'm your father, Henry, and I love you very much." My father stood beside me and looked at his watch. "It's 2:37 p.m. as Sophia's birth time, so don't forget Henry, and remember, because every day at 2:37 p.m., remember your daughter was born." I remembered every year on every birthday at 2:37 p.m., where I called Sophia. "Happy birthday, my daughter. It's 2:37 p.m. as your birth time, and I haven't forgotten." Sophia grew up as a good kid, smart and cheerful, who loved school. "Dad, I want to be a teacher like you." "Wonderful, my daughter, because teaching is a good profession where you help people," I encouraged. In 1987, tragedy struck when my father had a heart attack, a sudden heart attack at home with my mother. We rushed to the hospital, including Eleanor and me, where my father was in intensive care with machines and tubes, weak. "Henry," he whispered, "come to me." I approached and held his hand, cold hand. "I'm here, Dad." "Henry, I'm leaving, and I know because I feel it," he stated. "No, Dad, you'll get better because you're strong," I insisted. "No, son, it's time. But I want to give you something," he said. He took the watch off his wrist, a Rolex, a 1953 Submariner, a 34-year-old watch where the glass was scratched and the case was dull, but it worked and still worked. "This watch is yours now, where you should wear it and never take it off. And every day remember me, and give it to Sophia one day, so she remembers too that her grandfather was a commander and a naval officer, where the watch represents the family's honor," he instructed. I cried, "Dad, the watch is very valuable and it won't be safe with me." "Henry, the watch isn't for safekeeping, but for remembering, so wear it, live, and remember," he stated. I wore it for the first time, my father's watch on my wrists, heavy and meaningful. 2 days later, my father died at 67 years old from heart failure, where he passed away peacefully. The funeral was a naval funeral with soldiers in uniform, the flag, and the ceremony showing respect. The flag was draped over the coffin as the soldiers saluted, and the master of ceremonies gave the flag to my mother, the folded flag. "On behalf of the United States of America, we are grateful to your husband." I didn't look at the coffin, but looked at my wrists showing Rolex. My father's Rolex, now my Rolex, but still my father's, always my father's. Years passed as Sophia grew up through college at Boston College with business major, not teaching. "Dad, business is more profitable where teaching pays less." Disappointment came, but it was my daughter's decision where I respected it. "Okay, Sophia, you know best, and business is good too." In 2006, Sophia graduated and found a job at consulting firm in Boston, with good salary at $100,000 a year, starting out where Eleanor was shocked. $100,000? "Henry, we never made that much." "Times have changed, Eleanor, where now young people make more. So good," I observed. In 2010, Sophia met Brett, tech entrepreneur who started a startup with mobile app that was successful, rich, and very rich. "Dad, Brett is amazing. His company is going public. He's going to be a millionaire," she exclaimed. "Good girl, are you happy with him?" I asked. "Very happy," she confirmed. In 2012, Sophia and Brett got married in big wedding with 200 people at expensive venue in Boston Harbor. Gorgeous. I walked Sophia down the aisle in wedding dress, white wedding dress, beautiful and as beautiful as Eleanor. "Dad," she whispered, "thank you for everything." "You're welcome, my girl. Be happy, love Brett, and start a family," I replied. Everyone at the wedding looked rich with expensive clothes, jewelry, and watches where Brett's friends all wore Rolexes, new Rolexes, shiny and flashy. I wore my father's Rolex, 1953 model, old, matte, and scratched where I looked strange next to them as a old man with old watch. Brett's father came up to me. "Henry, nice watch, vintage model?" "Yes, 1953 from my father," I confirmed. "Ah, sentimental value, and I understand. But have you looked at the new models?" "Much more functional and stylish," he suggested. "No, this is enough for me because it does the job," I stated. He smiled, but the smile wasn't sincere as a pitying smile, an old man, old watch smile. In 2014, Eleanor got sick with ovarian cancer at advanced stage, stage 4, terminal. "Henry," said the doctor, "unfortunately, treatment options are limited, where chemotherapy may prolong life, but there is no cure." Eleanor was strong. "Henry, don't be sad because we had a good life with 38 years where we raised Sophia, so what more could we want?" But I was sad, very sad, because Eleanor was my soulmate, and without her, how could I live? 10 months of fighting came with chemotherapy and radiotherapy where Eleanor lost her hair and became very weak, but she still smiled. "Henry, look at the watch on your wrist, the Rolex that's still working, isn't it?" she observed. "Yes, it's still working at 61 years old, but still working," I confirmed. "You see? Quality things last a long time where you're a quality man, Henry. And even if I'm gone, you'll live a long life because you're strong, she stated. March 2015 came when Eleanor died at 63 years old from cancer, where she passed peacefully at home in my arms. Henry, she whispered, look after Sophia and don't let her be alone, so be there for her. I will, Eleanor, I promise, I assured. And the watch. Don't forget the watch, because every time you look at it, remember me, remember us, and remember your family, she instructed. I will remember every second, I promised. Her last breath came, peaceful and quiet, as Eleanor was gone where 40 years of marriage were over. The funeral brought friends, including my former students, neighbors, Sophia and Brett, because everyone loved Eleanor. Standing in the cemetery, I looked at my wrists showing Rolex. My father's Rolex, the watch I wore the day I met Eleanor, our wedding day, Sophia's birth, and every moment, always this watch. I cried silently because the watch wasn't just a watch, but was my life, my memories, and everything. After Eleanor, I was alone where the house was very quiet and empty with just me and memories. Sophia called, Dad, how are you? Loneliness must be hard. I'm managing daughter, trying to keep busy, I replied. Dad, listen. Brett and I talked where you should live with us, so don't be alone and move from Connecticut to Boston to stay with us, she proposed. Sophia, I'm fine and I'm comfortable in my own home, I stated. But Dad, you're getting older at 70 where if something happens, if you fall or if you get sick, there's no one there, so come with us and you'll be safe, she insisted. Brett got on the phone. Henry, Sophia's right where our house is big with a guest room and you'll be comfortable and care. Everything's close in, the city including hospital and grocery store, everything. I thought about it where maybe they're right because living alone is hard and I'm getting old, so maybe being with family would be good. Okay, I'll move but temporarily for a few months, and if I don't adjust, I'll come back, I agreed. Of course, Dad! Temporarily, whenever you want, she exclaimed. June 2015 came when I moved to Boston to Sophia and Brett's house. A modern house with glass facade and minimalist style. Expensive. The guest room was small but comfortable where I have my own bathroom with city view from the window. Dad, welcome. You'll be happy here. Sophia hugged me. The first week was fine where Sophia was attentive and Brett was kind as we ate together, watched movies, and acted like a family. But then it changed in second week and third week where Sophia became less attentive and Brett became more distant. Dad, I can't go out today because I have work and there's food in the fridge, so eat, she'd say. Eating alone, watching movies alone and everything alone, but alone in someone else's house, not my own home. Brett was a successful man with tech startup and mobile app as fitness app that was successful with millions of users. Henry, our app has surpassed 1 million downloads. Investors are coming. Company valuation is $20 million, he announced. Congratulations, Brett. Well done, I acknowledged. Everything had to be new for Brett, including new phone every year, new computer every year, and new car every 2 years. Henry, technology is advancing rapidly, where old is outdated and new is always better, he stated. Home too with modern furniture where everything white, glass, and metal with no wood. Nothing old, everything new, and everything shiny. Sophia changed too as she adapted to Brett's world with expensive clothes and brands. Dad, this bag is Prada for $3,000 that Brett gave me. That's very expensive, Sophia. Was it necessary? I questioned. Dad, Brett's friends live at this level where I have to fit in because image is important, she explained. Image, Brett's world, showiness, expensive, and new where old is worthless and cheap is shameful. One day Brett got a new watch, a Rolex, 2018 Submariner with new model, ceramic bezel, shiny and flashy. Henry, look! New Rolex, $15,000. Isn't it great? He showed. Nice, Brett. Expensive, I observed. Yes, but it's worth it because Rolex is an investment that increases in value and it's a status symbol where at business meetings it's important, he explained. I looked at my wrists showing my Rolex, 1953 model, matte, and scratched where the glass foggy sometimes, and next to Brett's it looked old and worthless. Brett noticed. Henry, you have a Rolex too, but the model is different as an old model. Yes, 1953 from my father, I confirmed. Ah, vintage and interesting, but does it work? Because it looks very old, he questioned. Yes, it works where it's been working for 62 years and never stopped, I stated. Wow, but maybe you should take it in for service including cleaning and polishing because it looks very matte, he suggested. No, I like it the way it is because every scratch is a story where my father wore it at sea and in the war, and I wore it at wedding and Sophia's birth, all on this watch, I explained. Brett shook his head, but he didn't understand because to him, old was bad and new was good, simple. Sophia started to think that way too, slowly influenced by Brett, where old is outdated and new is modern. May 2019 came, Saturday morning during breakfast preparations, where I was in the kitchen washing my hands, took off my watch, and put it on the table carefully. Sophia came in with an Apple Watch box in her hand, new, shiny, and expensive. Dad, a gift for you, an Apple Watch, the latest model, heart rate monitor, step counter, connects to your phone, everything, she announced. I looked at the watch, then at my Rolex. Thank you, Sophia, but I have a watch and I don't need one. Dad, that old thing is useless now where the Apple Watch is much more functional and modern, so take it and use it, she insisted. Sophia, this watch is from your grandfather, Commander, as a family heirloom that's valuable, I explained. She laughed mockingly, where for the first time my daughter laughed mockingly at me. Dad, this is a fake Rolex bought online for $50, where a real Rolex is shiny and new, but this is rusty and scratched up, so look at Brett's Rolex because now that's real, she stated. I froze. Sophia, this is a real Rolex, a 1953 Submariner with first production. Dad, please, it's fake, you'll embarrass us. Brett's co-workers are coming tomorrow. They can't see you with this nonsense, she interrupted, and she grabbed the watch from the table quickly. Sophia, no. She threw it into the trash can, the kitchen trash can with coffee grounds, orange peel, and wet napkin, where in between landed my watch, my father's watch, a 66-year-old watch in the trash. The watch is in the trash, including my father's watch, a 66-year-old watch, Commander Robert Matthews. Rolex in the trash can among the coffee grounds. I reached out to rescue it. Sophia, no, let me get it. No, Dad! Sophia grabbed the trash can and pulled it away. It's trash! Let it go! Let the garbage mog come and get it! But Sophia, this is Grandpa's, I protested. Fake Rolex! You got it online for $50. Embarrassing. Brett's friends are coming tomorrow. They can't see you with this nonsense, she yelled. Brett came in from the living room drinking coffee. What's going on here? Sophia held up the trash can. Henry's fake Rolex. I'm throwing it away before it embarrasses us. Brett laughed. Ah, Henry, I get it where there are vintage-looking replicas you get on eBay for $50 to $100, but you can't wear it here. Because people will know and it's embarrassing. But it's real, I tried to say. Henry, please, I'm a Rolex expert where I paid $15,000 last month. And a real Rolex is shiny, perfect, and looks new, but yours is scratched, dull, and old, so definitely fake, he stated. Sophia tied the trash bag tightly. Okay, bag's ready and I'll put it out where the garbage man will get it Monday morning, as end of story. Sophia, please, let me take it, just... I begged. No, Dad, Enough! This nonsense is over. You're going to use an Apple Watch now. You're going to be modern. Do you understand? She demanded. She took the bag, went to the front door, put it outside in the trash can, closed the lid, and locked it. Came back. Okay, done, and the garbage man will pick it up Monday morning. I sat down slowly because my legs were shaking after 66 years, where my father wore it for 34 years, and I wore it for 32 years, every day, every hour, and every minute on my wrists. But now it's in the trash. Eleanor's voice echoed in my ears. Don't forget the watch, because every time you look at it, remember me and remember us. But now there's no watch and no remembering where it's in the trash, and everything's in the trash. Sophia turned to the kitchen cheerfully. Dad, open the Apple Watch. Charge it and put it on your wrist. Brett will teach you how to use it. I looked at the box, the shiny box with Apple logo as expensive technology, but soulless with no story. Just plastic and metal with no memories and no value. Thank you, Sophia, but I'm tired and I'm going to my room, I stated. I went to my room, closed the door, sat on the bed, and looked at my wrists, showing empty wrists where for the first time in 32 years they were empty. I remember 1987 when my father on his deathbed took the watch off his wrist. This watch is yours now. Wear it and never take it off. I wore it for 32 years where I never took it off, except when I washed briefly, then right back on. Now it's gone in the trash where Sophia threw it away. My own daughter threw it away saying fake and embarrassing. I couldn't sleep that night as I thought about Monday morning when the garbage man will come to take it away, maybe to the landfill where it will be crushed or it will disappear forever. But there's nothing I can do because Sophia didn't want it, Brett didn't want it, and it's their house with their rules. Saturday passed, Sunday passed, and Monday came. 6 in the morning I woke up, ran to the window, and looked outside where the trash can was still there and hadn't been picked up yet. I have to go downstairs to open the bag and save the watch, but Sophia will see and Brett will see where they'll say, Dad, did he take that fake one again? I couldn't do it under their house and their rules. 7 o'clock came with the sound of the garbage truck showing noise, engine, and crushing sound. I ran to the window and looked, showing the garbage truck on our street with 2 workers emptying the bins one by one. Our bin came when a worker picked it up, took out the bag, and threw it into the truck with the crushing mechanism and noise. It was gone, including my father's watch, a 66-year-old watch, Commander Robert Matthews's Rolex. Gone. I sat down and cried silently because it wasn't just the watch that was gone, but my father was gone, Eleanor was gone, Sophia's birth was gone, and all my memories were gone where all of them were in the garbage truck, crushed and gone. The garbage truck was moving to the next street where Tony Rodriguez, garbage man, was working on the truck at 42 years old as Spanish immigrant, good man, and honest man. In the back of the truck in the crushing section, Tony noticed something showing a metallic sheen among the trash. Espera! Stop! He yelled to the driver. The truck stopped as Tony jumped down and entered the crushing section carefully in dangerous place. He parted the bags showing coffee grounds, fruit peels, paper towels, and a watch, a Rolex. He took it carefully as an old watch, scratched and dull, but heavy with high-quality metal. Mira esto! Look at this, he said to his friend. ¿Qué es? What is it? His friend asked. Reloj Rolex, but old where I found it in the trash, Tony explained. His friend looked. A Rolex? Is it real or is it fake? I don't know, but it's heavy and looks high quality, so I'll take it to my uncle who's a jeweler and he'll know, Tony decided. Tony put the watch in his pocket carefully. Maybe it's valuable and maybe worth some money. His shift ended at 4 in the afternoon when Tony went to his uncle's shop, Jonathan Pierce, jeweler with small shop but an expert, a real expert. Tio! Uncle, Look what I found. Tony showed him the watch. Jonathan put on his glasses and took the watch carefully, turned it over, and examined it as his mouth opened. Tony, where did you find this? He questioned. In the trash in the garbage truck this morning. Why? Tony replied. Jonathan took out a microscope, a magnifying glass, and a light where he examined the watch, including the case, the dial, the strap, and everything. Dios mío, my God. Tony, this is a 1953 Rolex Submariner. Reference, 6204 factorial first production series, he exclaimed. What do you mean first production? Tony asked. Rolex launched the Submariner in 1953 as the first diver's watch where only 100 were made. The first 100, very rare and very valuable, Jonathan explained. Tony was stunned. How valuable? Jonathan pulled out a calculator. Let me see where the last auction, a 1953 Submariner reference 6204 in perfect condition, sold for $250,000 at Christie's auction in 2018. Is it in that good of condition? Tony questioned. Jonathan examined it again. Look, the case is original and never altered. The dial is original with patina, but beautiful patina, and hands are original where everything's original. And look, there's engraving on the case with letters, RM, Naval Commander, 1953, where this was actually used by a real naval officer, and it has a story, he revealed. Tony, this watch is worth $280,000, maybe more. If we find its story, it could even be $300,000, Jonathan stated. Tony froze. $280,000? A watch from the trash? Yes, Tony. Probably the owner died where the heirs didn't know its value and thought it was fake, so they threw it away. But it's a treasure. A real treasure, Jonathan confirmed. Tio, what should I do? Tony asked. Jonathan thought, we should try to find the owner through local newspaper and social media. But if we can't find them legally, it's yours as found in the trash and considered abandoned where you own it. And can I sell it? Tony questioned. Yes, through Christie's auction or Sotheby's or private collectors for $280,000. Maybe more, Jonathan confirmed. Tony's eyes filled with tears. Tio, I've never seen that much money where $280,000 means I could start my own business, buy a truck, and buy a house for the family. Jonathan smiled. Yes, Tony, but first we have to find the owner where we have to be honest. And if the real owner comes forward, we have to return it. Of course, Tio, we'll be honest, Tony agreed. Jonathan took a photo, a professional photo showing the watch against a white background, as clear photo with every detail visible. He opened his Instagram account at Pierce Jewelers with 5,000 followers, including local customers and collectors. He posted, Incredible discovery, 1,953 Rolex Submariner reference, 6,204 as first production series where only 100 were made in perfect condition with original case, dial, and hands, used by a naval commander with engraving on the case. RM, Naval Commander, 1953, showing seawater patina present as genuine signs of use. Auction value, $250,000 to $300,000. This watch was found today in a garbage truck in Connecticut near Boston, where we are looking for the owner. So if this watch is yours or you recognize it, please contact us. Rolex Submariner, vintage Rolex, Mash 1953, Mash, Naval Commander, Mash Rare, Watch, Mash, Watch Collector, Mash, Christie's Auction. Share and post published. First hour brought 100 likes with no comments. 2 hours later brought 500 likes as comments started. OMG, a 1953 Submariner. My dream. Did you find it in the trash? I can't believe it. Who is RM Naval Commander? It should be investigated. This watch should be in a museum. 5 hours later brought 5,000 likes with 100 comments, shares, and reposts. Local news sites saw it and ran the story. $280,000 Rolex found in trash in Connecticut. 1953 Rolex submariner found in trash truck, looking for the owner. How did the naval commander's watch end up in the trash? The story went viral, where trending on Twitter, discussed on Reddit, and shared on Facebook. Monday evening came when Sophia is at home with Brett, where she's scrolling through Instagram with likes, comments, and stories. She saw a post from at Pierce Jewelers showing a photo of a Rolex, an old Rolex, a familiar Rolex. She paused, zoomed in, and looked at the engraving on the case. RM, Naval Commander, 1953. RM as Robert Matthews, her father's grandfather, Commander Robert Matthews. Her face went pale as she froze completely. Brett, look, because this is my father's watch, she screamed. Brett looked and read, What? Impossible. That watch is fake. You threw it away. But look! The engraving on the case, RM exclamation mark, Robert Matthews, my grandfather. Naval Commander, she exclaimed. Brett read the listing aloud. 1953 Rolex Submariner reference. 6,204 as first production series, where only 100 made with auction value. $250,000 to $300,000. Silence fell, heavy silence, showing $280,000 as the watch they threw away worth $280,000. Sophia screamed, No! No! This can't be. That watch is fake. $50 from the internet. But it's real, Sophia! First production. Only 100 made. Rare. Valuable. And we threw it away, Brett stated. Sophia cried loudly. $280,000! We lost $280,000. I was stupid. Stupid! Brett grabbed the phone. I'm calling Jonathan Pierce right now because the watch belongs to Henry and we have to get it back. He called the jeweler. Hello, Mr. Pierce? This is Brett Walker, where that watch, that Rolex, belonged to my father-in-law, Henry Matthews, and we want it back. Jonathan replied, I understand, Mr. Walker, but the watch was found in the trash where legally it's abandoned property, so Tony, the person who found it, is now the legal owner. But it was our watch. It was thrown away by mistake. It was an error. We have to get it back, Brett protested. I'm sorry, Mr. Walker, but anything thrown in the trash is legally considered abandoned where it's Tony's now. And if Mr. Matthews, the real owner, wants to, we can talk, but you have no legal claim, Jonathan explained. But, Brett started. Jonathan hung up politely but firmly. Brett turned to Sophia. It's gone and lost where legally Tony's now. Sophia sobbed. My dad. I have to call my dad, because maybe he can get it back. Sophia picked up the phone trembling and dialed my number. I was sitting in my room silently with my wrists empty, showing no watch, where now there will never be a watch. The phone rang, showing Sophia, where I answered. Hello? Dad! Came a scream with panicked voice. Dad, that watch was a real Rolex. I know, Sophia. I told you it's 1953, a Submariner with first production, I stated calmly. But Dad, it's worth $280,000. At auction. Incredibly valuable, she exclaimed. Yes, Sophia. My father bought it in 1953 for $200, where now it's $280,000 as investment. Long-term investment, I confirmed. Dad, please, call the jeweler. Call Jonathan Pierce. Tell him the watch is yours. Get it back, she begged. Why, Sophia? You called it fake, and you called it embarrassing, and you called it trash, so now you want it back, I questioned. Because it's valuable. $280,000. Dad, this is a fortune, she explained. Ah, now it's valuable because it has monetary value, but yesterday you said it had no sentimental value where you said it was just an old watch, I observed. Dad, please. I made a mistake. I'm sorry, but please take it back. It's our family's right, she pleaded. Brett grabbed the phone. Henry? Listen, that watch was legally yours. It was thrown away by mistake. You can legally claim it. You can take it back. Brett, the watch was thrown away where legally it's abandoned, and it's Tony's now because Tony found it and Tony owns it, I stated. But Henry, $280,000. We can't lose this. It's family heritage, Brett argued. Family heritage, Brett? Yesterday you said it was fake, and you said it was a replica, and you said it was embarrassing. So now it's family heritage? I challenged. Henry, I misjudged it and I'm sorry, but now we have to do the right thing where we have to get the watch back, he insisted. No, Brett, we have to do the right thing where Sophia threw the watch away because she thought it was worthless, and Tony found it honestly, so now it's Tony's and Tony deserves it, I declared. Sophia took the phone back, crying, Dad, please, I was stupid and I didn't know its value, but now I know. So please, $280,000 is a lot of money. Sophia, was the watch valuable because it was $280,000 or because it was your grandfather's watch? I questioned. Both, Dad. Both are valuable, she cried. No, Sophia, you only see the monetary value where you don't see the sentimental value. And yesterday, the sentimental value was 0 to you, where you called it fake and junk. But today, it has monetary value at $280,000. So now it matters, I explained. Dad, she started. Sophia, I won't take the watch back because Tony found it honestly, where legally it's his, and now he'll sell it for $280,000, maybe $300,000, which is good for him, because he'll start his own business and buy a house for his family, as good man who deserves it, I stated. But Dad, it was our watch, she screamed. It wasn't Sophia, it wasn't yours, because you didn't know its value where you threw it away. So now it's not yours. As life lesson, Sophia, an expensive life lesson, I concluded. I hung up as my hands were shaking because I spoke harshly to my daughter. But I was right. Absolutely right. The next day, Tuesday, came when Jonathan Pierce called me where I don't know how he got my number, but he did. Mr. Matthews? Henry Matthews? He asked. Yes, that's me, I confirmed. Mr. Matthews, I'm Jonathan Pierce, jeweler at Pierce Jewelers, and I'm Tony's uncle, Tony, who found the Rolex in the garbage truck, he introduced. Yes, I know because I saw it on Instagram, and I read the news, I acknowledged. Mr. Matthews, your daughter Sophia called where she said the watch was yours, the 1953 Rolex from your grandfather. And is that right? He questioned. That's right. My father, Commander Robert Matthews, bought it in 1953, where he left it to me in 1987, and I wore it for 32 years every day. But yesterday, my daughter threw it away, I explained. I understand, Mr. Matthews, and legally, if you can prove the watch was yours, I can return it because Tony's an honest man who doesn't want stolen goods, and he'll give it back to you, Jonathan offered. I stopped and thought because the watch could come back on my wrists as my father's watch with all my memories back. But Sophia threw it away saying fake and embarrassing, and now she just wants it back for the money at $280,000. Mr. Pierce, I'm going to ask you something. Tony, is Tony a good man? I questioned. The best man, Mr. Matthews, where he's hardworking, honest, and a family man with 2 kids and his wife where they live in a small apartment, struggling. But they're honest where they earn every penny and never complain, Jonathan described. If the watch belongs to Tony, what will he do? I asked. He'll sell it at auction for $280,000, maybe $300,000. And with that money, he'll start his own business by buying a garbage truck for his own company and a house for his family as his dream, Jonathan explained. Nice dreams, I observed. Yes, Mr. Matthews. And Tony deserves it because 42 years collecting trash every day as hard work and dirty work, but he doesn't complain where he works for his family, Jonathan stated. I thought about it where Tony is like me, as hardworking, honest, and lives for his family as a good man. Sophia is different, as rich and comfortable with everything ready, but she doesn't know value where old things are trash, and without money, they're worthless. Mr. Pierce, the watch is Tony's, I decided. What? But Mr. Matthews, this is yours as a family heirloom worth $280,000, he protested. I know, Mr. Pierce, but I don't want it because my daughter threw it away because she thought it was worthless, where without monetary value she didn't care. But now there's money, so now it matters, but it's too late, I explained. Tony found it honestly, where now it's Tony's. So sell it at auction and let Tony have that money so he can start his own business and buy a house because he'll put it to good use and he deserves it, I instructed. Jonathan was silent for a long time. Mr. Matthews, are you sure? This is a lot of money and sentimental value from your father. I'm sure, Mr. Pierce, but I have a request, I stated. Tell me, he encouraged. At the auction, Christie's or Sotheby's, when the watch is sold, tell its story, including Commander Robert Matthews from 1953 as naval officer, and his son Henry Matthews, who wore it for 32 years. Then his daughter Sophia threw it away because she thought it was fake, and Tony Rodriguez found it in the garbage truck, where now Tony owns it as life lesson, I outlined. Let people learn that old things are sometimes more valuable than new things, where shine doesn't mean value, but story is value and memory is value, I concluded. Jonathan's voice trembled. Mr. Matthews, you are a noble man and a rare person where I will tell the story, I promise, and everyone will learn, including Tony's story, your sacrifice and everything. Thank you, Mr. Pierce, and give my regards to Tony where you should tell him, this watch is yours now, use it well, use it for your family, and use it honestly, I requested. I will, Mr. Matthews. I absolutely will, Jonathan promised. I hung up, sat down, and looked at my wrists showing empty with no watch, where now there never will be. But I was at peace, strange but at peace, because the watch is where it belongs with Tony, with the good man, with the man who deserves it. Sophia learned an expensive lesson at $280,000, where maybe now she understands that value isn't in money, but in respect, in understanding, and in the story. August 2019 arrived. 3 months have passed since the watch incident. Sophia and Brett called many times. Dad, we're sorry and we made a mistake, so please forgive us. But I didn't answer, where every call I rejected because an apology isn't enough. And they lost $280,000, but they lost something more important. Me, a father's love, and respect. One day I decided to leave Connecticut and leave Boston for new city and new life. I moved to Vermont, to a small town called Burlington that's quiet and beautiful by lakeside. I rented a small apartment with 2 rooms that's enough because I'm alone and I don't need much space. I volunteered at the local library by organizing books and reading to children as nice work and meaningful work. I made new friends, including old friends like Walter at 80 years old as retired teacher who loves books like Eleanor. Henry, you were a history teacher, so tell us stories about your students, Walter requested. I told them about old days at high school with young people as good days. Margaret, at 75 years old as widow and kind woman, asked, Henry, how long have you been a widower? 5 years, where my wife Eleanor died in 2014 from cancer, I replied. I'm sorry because I've been 9 years where my husband Arthur died from heart attack suddenly, she shared. Hard, loneliness is hard, I acknowledged. Yes, but we get used to it and we carry on, she stated. We carried on as Walter, Margaret, and me, a small group meeting twice a week for coffee and chat. Simple but meaningful. One day Walter asked, Henry, your daughter Sophia, how is she? Does she visit? No, Walter, she doesn't visit because we had a fight, a big fight. And now we're not talking, I explained. What did you fight about? He questioned. I told him about the watch, the Rolex, where Sophia threw it away and lost $280,000. And now she's apologizing, but it's too late. Walter shook his head. Henry, you're right because value isn't in money, but in respect where Sophia needs to learn that. But forgiveness is important, Henry, said Margaret. Sophia is your daughter where she made a mistake, yes, but family. Maybe she needs time and maybe she really will change. I don't know, Margaret, because it hurt so much. Not just the watch, but the respect where she saw me as embarrassing, because it's an old watch, not expensive and not shiny. And that hurt so much, I confessed. September 2019 came when Jonathan Pierce called. Mr. Matthews, good news. The watch has been accepted for Christie's auction, the November auction in rare watches category. Wonderful, Mr. Pierce. Is Tony happy? I asked. Very happy. But Mr. Matthews, I want to tell you something where I told your story in the catalog, and Christie's accepted it. So the full story will be written, including Commander Robert Matthews, you, Sophia, Tony, and everything, he revealed. Good. Let people know that value isn't in appearance but inside, I stated. November 15th, 2019 came with Christie's auction in New York for rare watches, Lot 47, 1953 Rolex Submariner reference, 6204 as the Commander's watch. Catalog description. This extraordinary watch is not only a rare collector's item, but also has a deep story where it was purchased in 1953 by U.S. Navy Commander Robert Matthews, who wore it for 34 years. And in 1987, he passed it on to his son Henry Matthews, who wore it for 32 years every day, with every memory, including meeting his wife Eleanor, the birth of his daughter Sophia, and every happy moment. In 2019, due to family values and generational differences, the watch was misunderstood where it was mistaken for a fake, and thrown away where trash collector Tony Rodriguez found it honestly. And the rightful owner, Henry Matthews, donated the watch to Tony saying, Tony deserves it. He found it, honestly, and he'll use it well. This watch is no longer just a Rolex, but a lesson in value, a lesson in respect, and a lesson in honesty, where Tony Rodriguez is now the owner of this watch, and rightfully so. The auction began as Lot 47 was up. Auctioneer. Lot 47, 1953 Rolex Submariner reference, 6204 as the Commander's watch, where its story is in the catalog with starting bid at $180,000. So any bids? A hand went up. $190,000. $200,000. $220,000. $250,000. It accelerated as collectors and museums competed where everyone wanted it. $280,000. $300,000. $320,000. $330,000. It stopped with a long pause showing final bid at $330,000. Auctioneer. $330,000, going once, going twice, sold. Lot 47 for $330,000. Applause filled the room as everyone applauded, because it wasn't just a watch that was sold, but a story was sold and a lesson in value was sold. Tony Rodriguez was there in New York at Christie's at an auction for the first time where his eyes filled with tears. Tio, he said to Jonathan, $330,000, where I've never seen that much money. Tony, you earned it because you were honest where Henry was right, and now use it well, Jonathan encouraged. Tony cried, Tio, the first thing I'll do is thank Henry by writing a letter because he could have returned it, but he didn't where he gave it to me as noble man and good man. 2 weeks later, the letter arrived at my apartment in Vermont from Tony Rodriguez. Dear Mr. Matthews, I am Tony Rodriguez. The man who found your watch in the garbage truck. And I don't know you, but I love you, and I respect you. Mr. Pierce told me your story where your father was commander, and you wore it for 32 years, and your daughter threw it away. But you forgave me saying he deserves it, and he'll put it to good use. Mr. Matthews, the watch was sold for $330,000 where Christie's took their commission, and I got $312,000. With that money, I bought my own garbage truck for my own company called Rodriguez Waste Management, where I have my first customers, 10 customers, and it's growing. And a house, I bought a house as small house, but it's our house where my wife Maria and my children Miguel and Rosa are very happy as our first house and our own house. Mr. Matthews, you made this possible because you could have returned it or given it to your daughter, but you gave it to me. And why? I'm a foreigner and a garbage man, but you said I deserved it. Now I'm saying you deserve it, including respect, love, and appreciation because you are a good man and a noble person. Thank you, Mr. Matthews, where I pray for you every day. And remember every day that the watch isn't just metal, but a lesson in value and a lesson in respect. God bless you. Tony Rodriguez. I read the letter and cried where for the first time in months I cried happy tears because Tony understood. He understood the value and he understood the story. Sophia didn't call and she never called where maybe she's still sad or maybe she's still angry, and I don't know. But it doesn't matter anymore because Tony is happy and his family is happy where he used the money well and he deserved it. And I am happy where my wrists are empty with no watch, but it's light and peaceful. I bought a Timex, a new watch, and a simple watch for $50 from Walmart. That's cheap, but it works and tells the time. And the value is in me because this watch reminds me of Tony as a good man, an honest man, and a man who deserved it. Value isn't in the money or in the price or in the shine where value is in the story, in respect and in honesty. My father commander was right. A watch isn't for keeping time but for remembering. I remember every day, including my father, Eleanor, Sophia's birth, and every moment where the watch is gone but the memories remain and they stay with me. And Tony is writing a new story now, his own story, from garbage collector to business owner, from tenant to homeowner, and from a poor man to a successful man. This is value, real value, not money, but success, human success. Walter was right. Value is in respect. Margaret was right. Forgiveness is important. Maybe one day Sophia will call with a real apology and real understanding, and then maybe we'll talk, and maybe I'll forgive. But now I'm at peace in Vermont in a small town with new friends and with a simple watch, a $50 watch, because value is inside in the heart, in the soul, and in the memory. The Rolex is gone, but Henry remains as the real Henry, the noble Henry, and the valuable Henry. That's enough. That's everything. November 2021 arrived, 2 years after the auction. I was sitting in my apartment in Burlington reading a book when the doorbell rang unexpectedly. I opened the door to find Sophia standing there with tears streaming down her face, alone without Brett. "Dad," she whispered, "please, can I come in?" I paused, surprised, then stepped aside. "Come in, Sophia." She entered slowly and sat down on the couch where she looked different, older and tired, but something else had changed in her eyes, something deeper. "Dad, I know I don't deserve your time or your forgiveness, but I need to tell you something," she began. "I'm listening," I stated. "Brett and I divorced 6 months ago," she revealed. "He left me when his startup failed, and we lost everything, including the house, the cars, and all the expensive things. I'm sorry to hear that, Sophia," I said genuinely. "Don't be Dad, because it was the best thing that could have happened to me," she continued. "When everything was gone and Brett was gone, I was alone. For the first time in years. Really alone. and I had to face who I had become. She pulled out a folded newspaper article from her purse. I read this article about the auction, about your watch, about Tony Rodriguez, and about what you did. The article showed Christie's auction results with full story about Commander's watch, the $330,000 sale, and Tony's success story. Dad, when I read this, I realized what I had done, she cried. I didn't just throw away a watch worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, but I threw away everything you taught me about value, about respect, and about what really matters. I threw away my grandfather's legacy, my mother's memory, and worst of all, I threw away you, and I'm so sorry, Dad, so very sorry, she sobbed. I sat beside her. Sophia, why are you here now after 2 years? Because, Dad, I've changed, really changed. Not because I want the money back or because I want anything from you, but because I needed you to know that I finally understand, she explained. I got a new job as a teacher at elementary school where I'm not making much money, nothing like before, but I'm happy because I'm helping children and doing something meaningful, she continued. And I volunteer at a senior center twice a week where I help elderly people. And every time I meet someone who's been forgotten by their family, I think of you and what I did to you, she stated. I looked at her carefully. Sophia, these are good changes, but why should I believe they're real, and not just because you lost everything? Because, Dad, I brought you something, she said, while pulling out a small wrapped package. Open it, please. I unwrapped it to find a simple Timex watch, exactly like the one I bought myself, with an engraving on the back. To Dad, true value is in love and respect, not in price or shine. Love, Sophia, 2021. I know it's not a Rolex and I know it can't replace what I threw away, but I wanted you to know that I finally learned the lesson, she explained. The most expensive lesson I ever learned wasn't the $330,000 watch, but losing you, losing your respect, and losing myself, she continued. I held the watch feeling its weight, not in gold or jewels, but in meaning and understanding. Sophia, come with me, I said while standing up. We drove to the library where I volunteer, and I introduced her to Walter and Margaret. These are my friends who helped me through the loneliest time of my life when I had no family, I explained. Sophia shook their hands with tears. Thank you for being there for my father when I wasn't. Walter smiled kindly. Your father spoke of you often, where he was hurt, but he never stopped loving you. We spent the afternoon together talking. Really talking for the first time in years. Dad, I want to ask you something, Sophia said. Tony Rodriguez, the man who found the watch. Can we visit him? I want to thank him and apologize because if I hadn't been so ignorant and disrespectful, he wouldn't have had his opportunity. But also you wouldn't have had to give up your father's watch. Sophia, let's call Jonathan Pierce and arrange it, I agreed. December 2021 came when Sophia and I drove to Connecticut to meet Tony Rodriguez at his waste management company. Rodriguez Waste Management had grown to a fleet of 5 trucks serving 3 towns with 20 employees. Tony greeted us at his office, now a successful businessman, but still humble and kind. Mr. Matthews, he embraced me warmly. You came. And this must be Sophia. Sophia stepped forward with tears. Mr. Rodriguez, I'm Sophia, and I'm the one who threw away the watch, and I need to apologize to you and to my father and to my grandfather's memory. I was ignorant, disrespectful, and blinded by materialism, where I thought value was only in what's new and shiny. And I'm so ashamed of who I was, she confessed. Tony took her hands gently. Sophia, your father's gift changed my life where my children now have a home. My wife has security, and I have dignity. But more than that, your father taught me that goodness still exists in this world. The watch wasn't just metal and gears, but a lesson that I share with my children every day, he continued. He led us to his office wall where a framed photograph hung showing the 1953 Rolex Submariner with the full story printed below it. I could never afford to buy the watch back, but I keep this photograph to remember the lesson and to teach my children, Tony explained. Miguel is 12 now and Rosa is 10, and every day I tell them, value isn't in how much something costs, but in the story it carries, the love it represents, and the respect it deserves, he stated. Sophia read the story on the wall out loud where her voice broke several times. Commander Robert Matthews purchased this watch in 1953, wore it through naval service, passed it to his son Henry, who wore it for 32 years through marriage, his wife's death, and his daughter's birth, and the daughter threw it away, thinking it was worthless fake. But Henry Matthews gave the watch to the man who found it, saying, he deserves it, he found it honestly, and he'll use it well. And today that man, Tony Rodriguez, owns a successful business, has provided a home for his family, and teaches his children the true meaning of value, she finished. Mr. Rodriguez, you got the watch, but you also got the lesson, and you are passing it on to your children, and that's what my father wanted, Sophia observed. Tony nodded. Yes, and Sophia, you got the lesson too, maybe the hard way, but you got it, and now you can pass it on as well. We spent 2 hours with Tony and his family, where his wife Maria prepared traditional Mexican lunch as we shared stories and laughter. As we left, Tony gave Sophia a small gift, a photograph of the watch. Keep this to remember that it's never too late to learn and never too late to change. On the drive back to Vermont, Sophia held the photograph. Dad, I'm going to frame this and keep it on my desk at school to remind me every day of the lesson and of what really matters. That's good, Sophia, and I'm proud of you, I stated. Dad, one more thing, she said. I want to start a scholarship fund in Grandpa Robert's name for children of military families who want to become teachers, and I want to call it the Commander's Legacy Scholarship, because his legacy wasn't the watch, but the values he stood for. I pulled the car over and hugged my daughter. Sophia, your grandfather and your mother would be so proud of you. I hope so, Dad, and I hope one day I'll make you proud too, she replied. You already have, Sophia. You already have, I assured. November 2026 arrived, 5 years after Sophia and I reconciled. I'm 78 years old now, still living in Vermont, still volunteering at the library, and still wearing my $50 Timex watch. Sophia visits every month without fail, where she's now principal at the elementary school, and the Commander's Legacy Scholarship has helped 23 children of military families. Tony Rodriguez's company has grown to 50 employees serving 10 towns, where he's become a respected businessman and community leader. He established the Second Chances Foundation, helping people who've made mistakes learn about value, redemption, and change. Mr. Matthews inspired me to help others the way he helped me, Tony explained at the foundation's launch. Walter passed away 2 years ago at 93, where at his funeral I wore my Timex and told his family, Walter taught me that true friendship isn't about how long you've known someone, but how deeply you understand each other. Margaret is still with us at 82, where she and Sophia have become close friends. Your daughter has a beautiful soul, Henry, Margaret told me. She made mistakes, but she learned, and that's what matters. Last week, Sophia called with exciting news. Dad, I'm getting married. Wonderful, Sophia. Who is he? I asked. His name is David, and he's a teacher at my school. History teacher like you were. And Dad, he's nothing like Brett, she explained. He drives a 15-year-old Honda, wears a $30 Casio watch, and he's the kindest, most genuine person I've ever met, she continued. He sounds perfect, Sophia. When do I meet him? I questioned. This weekend, and Dad, I want to ask you something special, she said. Ask anything, I encouraged. Will you give me away at the wedding? And will you give a speech about value, about lessons, and about second chances?" she requested. "Sophia, I would be honored," I replied with tears. June 2027 came with Sophia's wedding in a simple ceremony in Burlington, with 100 guests including Tony Rodriguez and his family, Jonathan Pierce, Margaret, and friends from the library. David stood at the altar in a modest suit, looking at Sophia with genuine love that reminded me of how I looked at Eleanor 52 years ago. Sophia wore her mother's wedding dress that we had preserved, simple but elegant. As I walked her down the aisle, she whispered, "Dad, Mom is here with us. I feel her." "Yes, Sophia, she is, and she's so proud of you," I assured. At the reception, I stood to give my speech with my $50 Timex on my wrist. 55 years ago, I married the love of my life, Eleanor, while wearing my father's 1953 Rolex Submariner, a watch worth $200 then, I began. 32 years ago, my father gave me that watch on his deathbed, saying, "Wear it and remember me." And I did, where I wore it every day through joy, through loss, through Eleanor's death, and through Sophia's childhood, I continued. 8 years ago, my daughter threw that watch in the trash thinking it was worthless fake, and it was found by a good man named Tony Rodriguez, I stated. The room was silent as everyone listened. That watch was worth $330,000, and I could have taken it back. But I gave it to Tony because he deserved it, and many people thought I was foolish to give away such valuable thing, I explained. But what I gained was worth far more than $330,000 because I taught my daughter the most important lesson. That value isn't in price tags or brand names or how shiny something appears, but in the love it represents, the memories it holds, and the respect it deserves, I declared. Sophia lost $330,000 that day, but she gained wisdom, humility, and understanding, I continued. She lost a husband who valued her for material success, but she found a husband who values her for her character and her heart, I stated while gesturing to David. Today, I wear a $50 Timex watch, and you know what? It tells time just as well as the $330,000 Rolex did. But more importantly, it reminds me every day that true value is inside us, not on us, I observed. To Sophia and David, may your marriage be rich in the things that truly matter. Love, respect, integrity, and the wisdom to know that the most valuable things in life cannot be bought, sold, or thrown away because they live in our hearts forever, I concluded. And to Tony Rodriguez, who is here today, thank you for showing us that second chances and honest work and humble gratitude create more value than any amount of money ever could, I added. The room erupted in applause as Sophia ran to me and hugged me tightly. Thank you, Dad, for never giving up on me, for teaching me the hard lesson, and for loving me enough to let me learn. Tony approached with tears. Mr. Matthews, 8 years ago you gave me a watch, but really you gave me dignity, opportunity, and a lesson I pass on every day. Jonathan Pierce, now 85, raised his glass. To Henry Matthews, who taught us that the most valuable inheritance we can leave is not money or possessions, but wisdom and values. As the celebration continued, I stepped outside for fresh air, where the sunset was painting the sky in brilliant colors. I looked at my Timex showing 7:15 p.m. and smiled. Eleanor, I whispered to the sky. Our daughter found her way home, and she learned what we tried to teach her, that love and respect and character are the only things worth holding on to. And Robert, I continued, speaking to my father, your watch completed its journey where it saved Tony's family, taught Sophia humility, and showed the world that value isn't about price but about purpose. The Timex kept ticking, $50 of plastic and metal, telling time just as reliably as the $330,000 Rolex ever did. Because in the end, that's what I learned. Time passes the same for everyone, rich or poor, and what matters is not what we wear, but how we live, Not what we own, but who we love, and not what we accumulate, but what we give away. The $330,000 watch in the trash became the most valuable lesson of all, that sometimes losing everything is the only way to find what truly matters. If you liked this story, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts about this story in the comments. Click on the box on the left to listen to the next story.